We're excited to provide some more information today about the Green Chemistry Professional Mentoring Networks program. We are going to record the sessions, make it available later for anyone who isn't able to attend and who'd like to review it at another time. But today we do want to go through just some of the basics about the program, eligibility criteria, some of the benefits of participating, and then we do have time for an open question period at the end if needed. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started. So this is a new NSF-funded program, and it was launched in the fall. It's started in September 2025, and it is a 5-year program that's going to run until August 2030. This program is part of the NSF award program under the Improving Undergraduate STEM Education, the IUs, which is under the Directorate for STEM Education. And so this is a collaborative project between Beyond Benign. So our team here, our main investigator for this project is Dr. Amy Cannon, who is our executive director here at Beyond Benign. But this is also a collaborative project with Professor Nikita Burrows, who is a chemistry education researcher at Monmouth University. So we're thrilled to be able to collaborate with her on this. We, of course, have a number of other team members on the project, including both Monica and Omar, who are on the call today, as well as Amanda, who is our director of operations. So again, this project is a 5-year project, and it's going to run again from 2025 through to 2030. The goal is to establish and host 16 professional mentoring networks over a 4-year period, or over 4 academic years. And that will include 4 of these PMNs each year. So each PMN will support up to 10 members. That includes 2 facilitators as well as 8 participants, so up to 160 participants total. 2 PMNs will take place each fall. So we'll have 2 of them going from September through to December, and then 2 taking place each winter, spring, January through to April. The participants meet virtually every 2 weeks during their term. This helps to facilitate adaptation and implementation of green chemistry curriculum content at the participants' home institutions. And this is done again with 2 facilitators within the group who will help lead and provide peer-to-peer mentoring and support in that process. In addition to those virtual meetings, biweekly meetings, the participants will also be attending 2 summits. So there's one virtual and one in person, which alternate each summer. And there is travel support to attend the in-person summit when that does happen. So we'll talk about that a bit more later. Okay, so the overarching goals here, it's really to help advance the adaptation and implementation of green chemistry materials. This is, of course, for anyone. So if you're brand new to green chemistry, or if you're a more senior or experienced faculty member doing green chemistry already, there is benefit to any and all levels of experience. Part of that is also to help create a replicable leadership model. So we are looking to help those who are new to green chemistry look at introducing it into their curriculum, and then also become trainers and mentors for others coming in later years. So if you do participate in a PMN in one of the earlier years of the program, you are welcome to come back and apply as a facilitator, as a lead of one of the PMN groups in a future year. This also helps to address the gap in the existing US chemistry education system, especially with the given changes in the ACS accreditation guidelines. So as of 2023, green chemistry is now a requirement within the accreditation guidelines for bachelor's degree programs in the US. And so that is slowly becoming more reality as we move towards the accreditation process, and these start becoming evaluated and accredited. That will become more and more important for faculty as these changes get adopted. So that's also to help there. And then, of course, with the acceleration of a network of educators who have experience teaching green chemistry to help support each other. Part of this is also to help undertake research and data collection. So this is to understand the factors that accelerate or hinder behavior change, both at the individual level as well as institutional level, so within departments. This will help generate new knowledge about how systemic change happens, how green chemistry and sustainability is introduced into chemistry education at the undergraduate level, What are the barriers and sort of propellants that help move it forward? And then this is also to help disseminate the results. And then, of course, to help build our green chemistry education community practice even further. There's a lot of rationale for having this project beyond what was just stated. So this is also to help support future workforce development. Students, we know that industry has a strong interest in having graduates with this knowledge coming into the workforce, ready to make effective and good decisions around green chemistry, solvent selection, safety, and hazards within the workplace. On top of that, again, as mentioned, addressing the ACS guidelines, which were recently revised. This is built off of a lot of existing literature on communities of practice, communities of transformation, and successful models that have also looked at mentoring networks as a system to create change. And finally, this really is built around Beyond Benign's existing networks. That includes our Green Chemistry Commitment Program, which is our signatory program of universities, colleges around the world who pledge to bring more green chemistry into their undergraduate programs. And of course, this will center around the student learning objectives of the GCC program. So I'll talk a bit more about that later, as well as with support from the new Green Chemistry Teaching and Learning Community platform. So we'll get into that in a bit. So the important things here are around the timeline and key dates. So for this particular application cycle, which we are currently in the middle of, I'm going to just go through a few of these important dates now. So we launched the application portal on February 2nd. We've already received a good number of applications, and we expect more to come in before the deadline. After today's information session, there's about 2 and a bit weeks left before the final deadline, which is April 3rd, and that's 11:59 p.m. Pacific time. Once we receive all those applications, we'll then start the review, which will take place in April. And we hope that by the first week of May, we'll have selected and notified successful applicants to the program. At that point, we will be inviting them to participate in the first virtual summit for participants, which will be on June 24th. And that is to help prepare for the beginning of the PMNs, which will be in the fall and in the winter or spring of the next academic year. So the fall PMNs, which is the theory and toxicology ones, those will be starting in late August, early September. And they will run again until that second week of December. And then the winter and spring PMNs, which are lab skills and applications, those will begin the second week of January in 2027, and then will continue until mid-April 2027. We will then have our first in-person summit, which will take place in June 2027. The exact dates are to be determined, but they will be in alignment with an existing conference, and we will likely be doing that in alignment with the Green Chemistry and Engineering Conference hosted by the ACS. So the benefits to participate, they are numerous. So part of this, because it is an NSF-funded program and because we are looking to support faculty as much as possible in this endeavor, there is a $2,400 stipend provided to eligible participants. The program also provides access to a variety of teaching modules and content, along with best practices and access to mentorship from your facilitators within the PMN. This also includes support to attend the in-person summit, so that will be an additional benefit provided to each participant. And then there will be access to a pool of funding. So this is up to $4,000 per PMN, so roughly $500 per person, to support green chemistry curriculum adaptation and implementation. So let's say you were looking at adapting a new lab and you'd like to purchase some equipment or maybe some cost matching with your department to try out and pilot some different labs and experiments with your second year organic course. This would be an opportunity to be able to do that and to try something new. In terms of expectations, so participants coming in, we are expecting those within the PMNs to be selecting a green chemistry module, a case study, lab experiment, or other curriculum content to then adapt and implement in a course at their institution. So again, this will be within the thematic of the PMN you're participating in, whether it's toxicology, whether it's lab skills, whether it's applications or theory. We will then be expecting participants to share how that fits within their curriculum and committing roughly 1.5 to 2 hours a week to the PMN activities during the time of the PMN. So again, either September to December or January through to April. The expectation is approximately 80 hours. This is an estimate across the entire project. That includes the two summits. So the virtual summit, which will be about 4.5 hours, and the in-person summit, which will be 1.5 to 2 days. We also expect participants to actively participate in those biweekly virtual meetings during the term of their PMN, accessing and contributing to the PMN group space on the GCTLC. So we will have groups set up on the GCTLC platform that will allow participants to share information, to stay connected in between meetings, to post content, to complete homework assignments or readings, to respond to prompts, to fill in surveys, that kind of thing. We also expect participants to attend at least 75% of the meetings. Of course, we understand there are sometimes factors outside of control, but this is our general request. And again, there may be conditions for participation if a participant cannot meet at least 6 of those meetings. But this is our general aspiration. There is also the expectation to attend at least the one virtual summit and one in-person summit across 2 summers. And those, again, will alternate each year. So sometimes the virtual summit will be the first one for a participant. In a later year, it might be the in-person summit that will be the first one, and the virtual summit will be second. Finally, we do expect participants to submit their updated green chemistry modules or adapted curriculum materials to the GCTLC following implementation. And note that those submissions do receive a citable DOI if they are original work, and as long as they're not published in a journal already. Okay, eligibility. So importantly here, there are some strict requirements, and then there are others where there is a bit more flexibility. But one of the strict requirements is that this program is only available to US-based individuals. So they must be at a US-based institution or organization. And in addition, they must be able to receive payments in the US. In other words, have a social security number. Those two are strictly based on the program requirements of the NSF. Now, there are some other things in here that are a bit more flexible, though. Applicants can apply for more than one PMN in a given application cycle. So in your application, you can indicate which PMNs you want to apply to and what your order of preference would be. So you may want to apply to, as an example, toxicology, and you may also want to apply for lab skills, let's say. You can do that, and then you can also indicate your order of preference. And during the review process, we will do our best to accommodate your first choice. However, again, it depends on number of applicants, it depends on the quality of applications, etc. So we will do our best. But please note that only each person can only participate in one PMN in a given year. You can, however, if you are unsuccessful, you can apply again to future cohorts. You can even apply to the same one in the future, although if you are successful and you wish to apply again, participation will be given priority to those who have not participated before. In terms of eligibility, anyone who has some level of teaching responsibility at the higher education level can apply to this program. This includes chemistry instructors, curriculum developers, community members with teaching responsibilities. This could also include postdoctoral fellows, it could include graduate students, and it could also include high school teachers, provided that they are teaching in a university or college level, and that their participation is specifically for the courses they teach at the undergraduate level. It cannot be for their high school classes. It must be for the content they wish to teach for university or college. We do have some flexibility for industry professionals. If they have strong expertise in green chemistry, if they have a strong interest or background in chemistry education practices, they would also be encouraged to apply. And again, there is a bit of flexibility, but those will be more rare cases. Okay, so how to apply? Fairly straightforward. Applicants must submit the following in order for their application to be considered complete. So they must complete the application form with all complete responses, including motivation for applying, how it will benefit both them and their students and department. You must also include an up-to-date CV, so maximum 4 pages. and then one letter of recommendation. So this is uploaded separately. There's a separate form available for referees to upload their content. Note that all of these must be submitted by the deadline. That includes the letters of recommendation. So everything must be received by April 3rd at 11:59 p.m. Pacific time. Okay. So I did want to come back briefly to the themes for the PMNs and talk a bit about the content with those logistical points out of the way. So, again, the themes for the PMNs are based on the Green Chemistry Commitment Program for student learning objectives. So these really focus on four critical areas of green chemistry. So one is theory. So that's having a working knowledge of the 12 principles of green chemistry. We'll get into that in a second. The second is toxicology, so understanding the principles of toxicology, molecular mechanisms, how chemicals affect human health and environment, ways to identify and assess hazards. So again, a general understanding of that is critical. Laboratory skills, so possess the ability to assess chemical products and processes and design greener alternatives where appropriate. So very much on the practical side. And then applications. So being prepared to serve society as scientists and professionals, evaluating and understanding the methods and the chemicals that are benign for human health and the environment. So with that, I want to get into a little bit of each of these. We worked closely with the facilitators for each of the PMNs, and we have come up with sort of broad thematics for each of these groups within the structure and the umbrella of these four student learning objectives. So the first PMN is the theory PMN. This will be again in the fall. So this will run from September 2026 until December 2026. The co-leads for this group are Professor Nikki Jewell, who's at University of Colorado, Colorado Springs, and Professor Deborah Brumfield-Lee, who's at Florida Southern College. Now, this one will focus specifically on teaching green chemistry in context. So again, what does it mean to have a working knowledge of green chemistry? So this is going to focus really on, again, developing and implementing ways of teaching fundamental principles in different contexts. So it could be lecture, it could be lab, it could be in-class activities. The intention here was to keep it quite broad because different people have different contexts in which they teach, different opportunities to bring green chemistry into their various courses, depending again on how much flexibility they have, how much control they have of content, that kind of thing. The hope here is to focus on some of the more challenging principles, but ultimately we hope to have each participant address between 1 to 3 of the principles in a course of their choosing that they currently teach at their home institution. And again, this will look also at effective approaches of assessing student learning within those 1 to 3 principles. The second PMN is focused on toxicology. So again, this one will also run in the fall from September 2026 to December 2026. This one will be led by Professor Cynthia Woodbridge, who's at Georgia Gwinnett College, and John Beatty, who's at Texas Women's University. This one is around adapting, implementing, and assessing toxicology in lecture and lab. So again, quite broad in terms of the different types of contexts for teaching. It will include looking at toxicology in core chemistry courses, as well as standalone toxicology or specialty courses. Importantly, we will look at a variety of resources, but in particular, this PMN will make use of the Beyond Benign Toxicology for Chemists curriculum. So that is one of our major curriculum resources that was launched a few years ago. It can be looked at as a full standalone course, or it can also be looked at as different modules that can be drag and dropped into different courses depending on the focus. Within this, we hope that participants will choose either lecture-focused content, lab-focused, or both. So again, providing some flexibility for what you would like to work on as a participant here. And then assessment will be a critical component of this too. So really looking at creating a database of effective assessments in toxicology that can culminate in a collection for the PMN. And even by the end of the full 5-year project, a really solid foundation of assessment questions for toxicology. The third PMN is the lab skills one. So this one will run in the winter or spring 2026. So this will be from January 2020. Oh, sorry, that's a mistake. Winter, spring 2027. So this will be January 2027 through to April 2027. So that's my fault. That's a typo. So the co-leads for this are Dr. Veronica Zhang, who's at Michigan State University, and Professor Ji Kim, who's at Gutman Community College at CUNY in New York City. The lab skills is, again, looking broadly at different types of labs and different courses, but really it's focusing on how to get started. So if you've never done green chemistry, never brought it into a lab before, Veronica and G are fantastic. They have done a lot of this work in the past, and they are really well positioned to be able to help support anyone coming in for the first time. So again, this is open to individuals with all levels of background and experience, whether first time with green chemistry or, very experienced as well. Again, it's going to aim to support different levels of integration of green chemistry. So that could be through pre-lab, post-lab questions. It could be through green chemistry metrics. It could be through solvent substitution. Again, looking at different examples of greener lab experiments that can be brought in, whether organic, whether inorganic, whether analytical, whether gen chem, again, sort of across the board. So again, all chemistry subdisciplines will be welcome for this particular PMN. Participants will gain a deeper understanding of green chemistry and how it gets integrated into labs. And then the expectation, again, will be that participants will have adapted a version of existing Greener lab and brought it into their own course, or developed a Greener modification for one of the labs they already teach. So either is an option. And again, there's some flexibility, and Veronica and G will work with you to figure out what the best plan of action is for your own particular needs. Finally, the last PMN, which will be, again, winter spring 2027. Sorry about that. That's, again, my typo. So that will be January 2027 through to April 2027. This one will focus on really more on case studies, but the goal will be to contextualize it within broader contexts and frameworks. So Professor Yibin Wang and Tom Umale, who are both at Villanova University, have a lot of experience doing this. And so they are going to focus this PMN on looking at applications within broader contexts, such as the UN SDGs, climate justice, environmental justice, systems thinking, policy regulation, planetary boundaries, etc. Now, the main mechanism to do this will be primarily through case studies. And there was recent work done in collaboration with our team at Beyond Benign, as well as the ACS GCI, with Tom and another colleague of ours, to develop a case study template. And so that template will be likely a big, a strong contributing factor to creating these case studies and working again with Tom and Yibin to develop those yourselves. Again, all backgrounds are welcome, including no green chemistry experience, and all subdisciplines with all teaching responsibilities: Gen Chem, organic, analytical, inorganic, anything at all. Okay, so I just want to wrap up very quickly, and then we'll get into the question period, which is some general FAQs. So these are also available through the program website, but just a few of the more common questions that we have been getting, I did want to address here. So one question we've had frequently is this opportunity only available to full-time faculty, or can an adjunct part-time faculty member or a postdoc or even a grad student apply? So the answer is yes. Adjunct faculty can apply, provided, again, they're teaching at the undergraduate level. Postdocs and grad students who are teaching are also encouraged to apply, provided, again, they have some experience with or have some responsibility towards content development. So if they are building lecture content, or if they're doing curriculum redevelopment, this would certainly apply there, and they would be eligible to participate. Again, in some cases, some professionals, such as industry representatives, government officials, nonprofit representatives, can apply if they have a strong interest in and relevance to curriculum development and green chem education. Again, these will be evaluated a bit more critically, and it really does depend on the individual, but there is some flexibility there. Again, importantly, the work being done in the PMN must relate to the teaching responsibilities of the applicant. With industry professionals, again, there may be some exceptions, but in general, for example, graduate students, if they are applying, it needs to be the work that they would be interested in doing as part of the PMN must relate to their teaching responsibility and not to their research, which may be two different things. A common question we get is about whether K-12 educators can also apply, so whether if they teach elementary, middle, or high school. So unfortunately, no, we can't support K-12 teachers due to funding restrictions. But again, the one exception is if K-12 teacher is also teaching college, university level, which does happen. Sometimes they teach both. Then if they'd like to participate, they can, provided that, and they can apply, provided that the work they would be willing and interested in doing in the PMN relates to what they teach at the undergraduate level, not to what they teach at the high school level. So it would have to be moving towards those responsibilities they have teaching college, university. Finally, last quick question. Does my institution need to apply on my behalf or do I apply individually? So for some awards, institutions apply on behalf of the individuals. In this case, that is not how it is set up. All participants must apply on their own behalf. Applications from institutions aren't accepted for this program. And similarly, letters of support must be submitted by individuals and not by the department to support individual applications. So it's more like a fellowship or scholarship as opposed to a major grant or award. But again, these must all be done individually on behalf of the applicants. Okay, so I'm going to stop there. I wanted to provide some time during this meeting to also allow for questions from anyone. So in the meantime, I will also leave this up. If there are any other questions long term that we don't get to today, you can you can email either Monica or myself. Monica's also on the call today. Or you can also learn more and apply by scanning the QR code or visiting the website that's listed there. And I believe Monica's dropped some of the links in the chat already. So thank you, Monica. I did also want to say a special thanks to some of our other uh, program sort of team. So we have an external evaluator, Dr. Robin Taylor. We also have our project consultant, Dr. Sam Donovan, who's been invaluable to a lot of our project work and development here. And then, of course, our advisory committee. So Dr. David Slaviska, James Mack, Ingrid Montez, Joanne Stewart, and Rick Moog, who have, again, provided a lot of great recommendations and support to this.